Had someone comment asking a couple of really good questions. I'm going to give my personal take, my opinion, my detailed breakdown on how I plan on articulating this bull run and making my sells throughout 2025. Because at this point in time, you can buy any coin. You can buy any coin, and you're going to be up 6, 8 to 10, maybe 12 months from now. You can buy anything right now, and you're going to be up. Because we're just going to have a massive amount of capital, trillions of dollars of liquidity moving into the altcoin market. So yeah, I'm going to break down my grand thesis. I'm going to answer these questions, and then hopefully you guys get a little bit of value. Hey man, quick question. Do you have any specific methods or tools you use to figure out which phase of the market cycle we're in? Do you combine things like market sentiment indicators, on-chain metrics, or technical analysis? Are there signals you look out for, like social media hype, trading volume spikes, or just that extreme greed vibe in the market? And how do you plan to balance these tools with your intuition or long-term plan? So I'm going to dive into question number 3 first. Or long story short, we'd love to see a video breakdown how you spot the euphoria stage and the tools you use when to start selling. And you got it right. When to start selling is most important. Like I said before, you can buy any coin right now and you're going to be up in 3, 6, 8 to 10, maybe 12 months. We're seeing a large amount of capital and inflows enter the crypto market. And as we enter the money go burr cycle, this is going to continue happening through 2025. Now, the big question is, when do we start selling? And I want to focus on my long-term play, my long-term plan. My goal over the next decade is to accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible. That is my sole focus. I truly believe that Bitcoin is going to be the reserve asset, the reserve currency of all assets in the entire globe. I think that it's going to be pegged to everything. Real estate, oil is going to be purchased and sold by governments in sats, in satoshis, and Bitcoin. I truly believe, I think that governments, institutions, private corporations, big tech companies, individuals, families, they're all going to be stockpiling their own Bitcoin reserves. That's going to be everyone's saving. That's going to be the unit of account of stored value in the marketplace of all marketplaces in the entire world. I truly believe that's the shift, that is the change that we are currently living through, and this is going to happen over the next decade plus. And the earlier you're in, the cheaper you're going to be getting Bitcoin. However, long story short, my primary focus, the reason I'm doing this, the reason I'm participating in this, is to accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible, because I truly believe that Bitcoin is the future. Now, the reason why we're playing in the altcoin market, the reason why we're betting on these cryptocurrencies, that a lot of them are destined to collapse in value, is we're taking advantage of money inflows of trillions of dollars that are entering a very tiny market. Because of these valuations where we're just having a large amount of capital entering these small startup companies, we see huge returns for project founders and seed investors. And we're talking returns of large multiples of like 20 times your money, 30, 50 times your money, on rare occasions up to 100x. And these aren't multiples that we've ever really seen anywhere else in any other space. And yes, it is possible, very much possible, especially if you're getting into these markets right now. And the problem is, number one, when to sell, which is what we're going to get into next. But to loop back to my primary focus, focus is to accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible. And if there's an opportunity in a market where I can outperform Bitcoin by a large measure, I'm going to partake in that market to outperform Bitcoin in the short, to accumulate as much Bitcoin over the long. And that's the game I'm playing here. I'm taking advantage of the altcoin market, the capital inflows that are going into these small startup companies, and I'm essentially trying to buy in equity of these small spaces before the money inflows come in, and then once the money inflows do come in, my plan is to sell when they're completely overvalued and they're destined to collapse. Because at the end of the day, all of these are going to bubble. I mean, we see this in new technological revolutions. Like, we had the dot-com bubble. We're going to have another crypto bubble. And the goal of this is to take advantage of that overvaluated market and sell when it's overvalued And the goal is to, like I said before, outperform Bitcoin in the short and accumulate as much of it as possible in the long. The other way outside of crypto is I'm also working on my fiat-based business, and I'm building a real estate brokerage. I got into selling real estate out of high school, and I'm also trying to find ways to increase my production of fiat currency to, once again, accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible. That is my sole focus. That's why I'm playing this altcoin degenerate casino gambling game, that of which isn't really gambling when we're making logical market-based decisions. And one of the key indicators, this is probably my favorite indicator that I'm going to look at towards the end of this video, is going to be the Bitcoin dominance data, the Bitcoin dominance chart. But most importantly, to answer your question about sentiment indicators, on-chain metrics, and technical analysis, is I like to look at market follows the price of Bitcoin. Yeah, so the market follows the price of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is a primary indicator. And then we also want to look at the money flows from Bitcoin into the layer ones and the alts. So talking about the money follows Bitcoin is what we can do in terms of technical analysis is watch how the market, the money flows from previous bull runs. Where we have this 4-year cycle, it tends to follow the presidential election. It also tends to follow the Federal Reserve's rate cut cycle. It also tends to follow the M2 money supply when we see that increase. It also tends to follow, global liquidity. When the global liquidity goes up and there's more money flowing through markets, we see price goes up. So those are prime fiat metrics that we like to use if you want to write those down. However, what we're going to be looking at is when liquidity goes up in the macroeconomy, we want to look at the market inflows. So where's the money moving? Long story short, everything follows Bitcoin. So this line here represents Bitcoin's previous all-time high. What we're looking at is the all-time high of the 2021 bull run. When Bitcoin passes that all-time high, we see a breakout. And that's what's happened over the last 30 days. And if we correlate this, if we look at the 2020 to 2021 bull run, as soon as it passed the 2017 high of 19,000, 20,000, we saw it break out. And then now we just experienced that breakout from the previous all-time high. Now, that breakout, we're currently about 30 to 40 days in. We saw it break that resistance mark of 73,000, and we're now sitting at 100K. This occurred over the last 30 days. And what we see is when Bitcoin passes its previous all-time high, what's happened 30 days ago, we see the money inflows, and we see the same exact thing occur to Ethereum 30 to 60 days after Bitcoin passes its previous all-time high. So between today and the next 30 days, we should expect Ethereum to break its previous all-time high, looking at the previous bull run cycle. And if we see and look at Ethereum, it is doing just that, where we are now a month after Bitcoin passing its all-time high, and we now see Ethereum approaching its previous all-time high, and I wouldn't be surprised if it passes its all-time high as we begin to see money flow roll over from Bitcoin to Ethereum to the altcoin market. Another really interesting thing that we could look at is the ETF inflows. And which is very interesting is recently we have seen a lot more inflows coming into Ethereum through the ETFs. And this happens to be 30 to 60 days after Bitcoin passed its all-time high. So right now we're just sitting around right here in terms of the capital inflows. Right now we have capital moving into Ethereum, and then very soon we're going to see the altcoins begin to pump, which we've already seen quite a bit of them significantly pump, especially in the meme market. However, another thing in terms of alts, I'm solely focused on gaming and AI. I do want to make that noticeable. I don't own any meme coins. In terms of my alt bets, I'm focusing on the gaming and AI niches, and I'm fully exposed to those markets. And my objective here to outperform Bitcoin in the short so I can accumulate more Bitcoin in the long is I have all of my capital parked right here. And I'm just waiting for the money to come in. I'm just waiting for the buyers to roll in and the price of my seed investments to essentially rocket. And pretty soon through 2025, when this occurs, and this goes into your first question, is what indicators or on-chain metrics or technical analysis can I use to know when to sell? And one of my favorite ones is the Bitcoin dominance data chart. So now that we know about the money flows, where it rolls that essentially I'm parked in the altcoin market for the money inflows, one great metric that we can use is the Bitcoin dominance chart. And what we see here is as the total capitalization, as we have the money liquidity inflows into the from fiat world to crypto world. What I was talking about before is we have the money flows where Bitcoin passes its previous all-time high. About a month later, Ethereum does the same thing. And then once that occurs, we have money flowing from fiat world into Bitcoin, and then Bitcoin into the altcoin market. And when this shift occurs, which we're just beginning to experience, we enter altcoin season. And what altcoin season is essentially, Bitcoin loses its dominance relative to the rest of the market as capital flows from Bitcoin and chases the next big thing. And we're seeing that through the Ethereum ETFs, where the Ethereum ETF is beginning to see a lot more significant performance. And we're seeing the Bitcoin dominance begin to fall relative to the rest of the crypto market. So we can look at previous bull runs where in 2017, and I'm going to chart this here, but the Bitcoin dominance went from 85% down to high 30s, low 40s. In the 2021 bull run, it fell from 67% and fell to the low 40s, high 30s. And here, where we are now, is we're sitting at about 55%. And, it's realistic to see the Bitcoin dominance fall to the low 40s, high 30s. And that could be a great indicator for us to sell, because that means a lot of the capital inflows are now exposed to the alts. And by then, we'll probably be up 20, 30, 50x at least on, our low cap bet, our high risk bets. So this is one primary indicator we can look at when in terms of like sentiment indicators or on-chain metrics. Other than that, it's really just going to come down to Bitcoin price. And I don't plan on touching the sell button until Bitcoin's at least $120,000. Because realistically speaking, just looking at where Bitcoin is going to hit, we're looking at $120,000 to $170,000 Bitcoin. I think that's a really realistic base case. And I truly think that this is going to be some kind of super cycle. Yes, it's not going to always be going up. However, I do genuinely think that Bitcoin's going to go 200,000 plus through 2025, especially if and when the United States makes a Bitcoin reserve. Got a phone call. I don't really know where I was. However, all in all, my grand thesis to answer your questions is I'm going to start selling when Bitcoin hits $120,000. I'm not going to try and hit the top. My goal is to sell throughout the large capital inflows into the altcoin market and get a solid average, like an average of 15 to 20x. That would be awesome. Bitcoin dominance data is also great. Bitcoin dominance data is great, where we're going to see money flow from Bitcoin to Ethereum and the altcoin market. So that's a good indicator. And then another great indicator is, really in terms of like social media hype, if I just wake up one morning and one of my bags is up 500%, like I just sell it. I just do it right away. Like sell 50%. And this happened with Gala Coin last bull run, where I bought it at 2 cents and it went up to like 7 to 8 cents. And then it got added to the Coinbase exchange and rocketed to 72 cents. I sold it that very morning immediately. And it just had a sell off from 70. It maxed out at 72 cents and I got my sell-in at 70. So like I just got lucky, where sometimes you'll wake up and something just goes mega viral, or it gets added to an exchange, or there's a huge mainstream news event. For example, right now, this is happening with XRP, where their entire following is completely delusional on social media right now, where you have it saying, you have posts that people genuinely believe, just retail, and they believe XRP is going to hit $10,000. That's physically impossible. That's physically impossible. There's not even enough capital in the world for it to hit that price. And you just have delusion that occurs on mainstream platforms. And essentially where the attention goes, that's where the capital flows. And the goal is to be in the market before the attention goes there. And the reason why I'm in the AI and the crypto gaming niche is because there's no attention there currently. And I think those are going to be the hottest market for the attention inflows down the road, which will then follow and result in capital inflows, where you're going to have crypto games that are going to come out. They're going to host $50 million prize pool tournaments. They're going to get every single mainstream live streamer that has millions of followers, and they're going to compete against one another for this $50 million prize pool tournament. All of a sudden, they're going to onboard all of their player bases, all of their followers, and those people are going to begin playing a game, and they're going to have fun playing it, and they're not even going to realize on the forefront that the game that they're playing is built on chain. It's built on crypto. And what they're earning in the game, turns out they actually own it. Turns out they can actually sell it to other players. And this is going to blow up on social media. And that's what I'm betting on. I'm betting essentially that there's going to be a ton of attention inflow when these marketing campaigns roll out through 2025. And I'm betting on the fact that there's going to be millions of players that are going to adopt these games. And by adopting the game, they're also adopting cryptocurrency. And I'm positioned there to sell. And when to sell is a great question. I don't know. I'm not going to hit the top. I can guarantee that. But between $120,000 Bitcoin and $170,000 Bitcoin, pretty good technical analysis on when to sell, just based on previous bull run history. When the Bitcoin dominance chart begins to fall, pretty good determination on when to sell. When you begin to see delusional price predictions of cryptocurrencies on social media, such as XRP right now, pretty good indicator of when to sell. And like, other than that, I'm also just trying to level head. My primary goal is to outperform Bitcoin in the altcoin market, to accumulate more Bitcoin. And I'm going to play the game to accumulate more and outperform it in the short, to accumulate more over the long. I'm also, so I'm just going to stick to the plan. I'm going to start selling out Bitcoin 120,000 just to take some lifestyle chips off the board. But I do know that Bitcoin's going to pass 120,000, and I'm almost positive that that's just going to be like the beginning of the altcoin season, which we just started. But I won't. Those are my best answers to your questions. Let me know what you think. I'm curious.